This is where all the grease, and we have a big problem with grease. As you can see, look, this is about a week's worth of debris. We have a tremendous issue with grease.
That's all rags and grease?
Rags and grease. And what we do is we take and suck this out and then we treat it in place. This is where we breed, I always say bugs, and everyone's like, well, I want to see the bugs. It's actually bacteria. We call them bugs. And the bugs that we take in, they eat all the stuff that didn't get settled out, didn't get scraped out, or didn't get raked out by the rake. All the urine, which is basically ammonia. We have a certain set of breed of bacteria that will eat that and then convert it over to a gas, so it goes out into the atmosphere. We have another breed, a different type of bacteria that will eat all the other waste products, some of the grease, some of the other human waste and stuff like that. So we try to maintain a certain amount of what we call it as mass. It's and we call it mixed liquor, which basically is our bug mass. We maintain a certain ratio for bugs, we call food coming in, the sewage coming in.
So where do you get these bugs from?
They're in everybody. They're a bacteria that's found in every single person, animal living, whatever like that. You can see it on some of the store, that probiotic stuff that they sell in the store.
But do you buy it?
No, when we initially started this plant up, we had to take the bugs, the bacteria from Sconset and haul it in here to start the process.
And they just breed on their own?
They just keep breeding all the time and growing. The more you feed them and aerate them and give them some oxygen, they just keep going and going.
Right.
So what the process is it comes in here with our raw influent and comes from around the back of the facility with our bugs, with our mixed liquor, and they blend in these tanks. And what we do here is we have no oxygen in this area here. They're called the noxic zones. So we don't feed any oxygen or any air into these tanks. What it's doing is it's taking the food coming in, and what leftover oxygen is still with the bugs, and the bugs that are coming around are really they're really active and they're hungry. The way to explain it. So the process starts here, and what they're doing here is they're eating converting all the ammonia, the urine, and all the other waste products into separate gases, different types of gases that ultimately go out into the atmosphere, or the bugs will eventually die off because they get older, and then we waste them, and then we treat them one more time, and then we send them to the landfill. All of our sludge goes to the landfill and goes in the digester. It helps break down that whole composting process, that breaks down all the trash and everything else, and ultimately, after so many weeks in the windrows and the turning, it gets put out and then for composting on topsoil. And if you happen to get a smell of this, it's a very unique smell. It's a musty or a mildewy smell. It no longer smells like any waste. What it's doing is it's lifting it up with no oxygen, bringing it into tanks where we're going to start to give it oxygen again. It's basically air. So now we'll come through here with no oxygen, and now the bugs are all getting tired. They've done their job, their initial job. So now we want to wake them up and everything else. So now we're going to aerate them again. Feed them oxygen, so now they're going to get lively and they're going to start to activate again and then do another process for us. So there's different processes, different types of bacteria doing the process for us. So these three giant tanks here, about 133,000 gallons in each one of them. This is where we give them air, give them their oxygen, and then they get fat, then they get happy with the oxygen, and they go around and they start the cycle all over again. We keep returning them as RAS, we call it. Return activated sludge. The cover's down in the wintertime, especially this winter, because it was so cold this winter, we had to slow everything down. So we had about a 60-day sludge age. Our bacteria was about staying in the process almost 2 months because we had to build such an inventory to keep them warm. And then now the summertime, I think he's running about a 24-day age. So the sludge will actually stay in the process for about 24 days before we waste it. But from start to finish, you got like 4 hours. It takes about 4 hours to go through the clarifiers, ultimately, and then it starts its process here. And it's just a never-moving cycle, around and around and around.
24 days on average?
We can ask Richard more when we see him.
Yeah, all right.
When it comes through. That's how old the sludge is. the actual
But
mass,
beginning to end, from being
20
filtered.
filtered and everything else, the bugs live around for like 24 days. It's called the MCRT, mean cell residence time. In the wintertime, we had to really increase it because, as you know, it was ultimately really cold this winter and for a long time. So the stream coming in was very, very cold, and we had a hard time keeping everything alive. So we had to just build a lot of mass. I would say we have 15 beds altogether. 10 or 12 of our beds that we have percolate very, very well. We have about 4 that are original beds from the 50s that are very slow. We can only use them for 1 day. Most all of these other beds that we have, we can use for 4 or 5 or 6 days at a time before we have to switch them out. We have My Comet Beach.
What?
My Comet.
That's My Comet
you
over
see
there?
where that parking lot is?
Yeah.
At the end of My Comet Road, when you get to the end, you can take a left. That's the parking lot right there for My Comet Beach.
Okay, now isn't that the nude beach?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw your car there the other day.
Oh yeah, were you using the binoculars,
Yeah.
David, again?
We have binoculars, yes.
Uh-huh.